welcome to the Foolish Kitchen. If you watched my other video, the tea and toast picnic, you saw my car kit, my car picnic kit, my picnic hamper. I don't know what to call it. I really don't. I usually, if I go on a road trip that's not like to my mother's, I will put this in the car, and sometimes I'll just leave it in the car all season. It took a while to construct it. I kept replacing things and putting different boxes or whatever, but with this road trip kit, I can make a cup of tea and I don't have to keep going through the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts. But I will show you what's in it, but first I'm going to show you what I started with to work up to this thing, to this size. I had to shoot this video twice because I had too much stuff on the table. Like everybody else, I started with what I take backpacking. I bought this kit from Esbit. No, that's not the Esbit kit. Sorry. It is basically your standard, I believe, 16-ounce cup. And this comes with, I think this is, for the money, this is a really good little, I don't know what I want. Let me start with something. Get this little stove, which the windscreen is adequate, you know, unless you're going to a mountaintop. It's adequate for roadside. Otherwise, you'd just construct something with better windscreen around it. And they use the fuel cubes, which have been around for 100 years. This is not new technology. It's not hard to find. They cost very little for a whole bunch of them. This is a great thing to have for power outages, because first, in the time I had the longest power outage in this house, all I wanted was a cup of tea. I was like, that was it. Let me make hot water. So you put the fuel stove. Take it out of the plastic. Put the fuel cube in here. You light it up, and you know, it takes 3 or 4 minutes to boil your water. You can make your tea. You probably fit half a package of ramen in here. Many people, you know, you can do all kinds of things with it. It is anodized aluminum, doesn't weigh very much, but I think it's under $15 for the set. And you get this, and you get this, and I just keep some strike anywhere lighters, matches, just in case. I keep butane lighter, a couple of packets of tea. I'm sorry, there are tea bags, and some sugar because I like sugar, and it's an extra one. That actually lives in my day pack, because sometimes when I get to someplace, I want a cup of tea, and I'll carry extra water. I don't like a non-dairy creamer, but if I did, or you can just save those little creamer packages from the diner, you know, those little peel ones that make lots of trash, whatever. So I started with this, and when I was going on most road trips, even before that, I would just carry like several thermoses with tea, even cold tea, because the glass inserted ones work better than the stainless inserted the metal ones. The glass ones will retain their heat a ridiculously long time, like longer than you could possibly imagine. I have made huge vats of tea and left it on the kitchen counter, and when I come home from work 10 hours later, it was still warm, so still drinkable. So basically this will do almost anybody, and this is, you know, perfectly adequate for people who don't drink lots of it. Lots of tea, lots of instant coffee. Thermos has, you know, these guys, this is the stainless one inside. Easy to clean, less fragile. I have broken one of those on occasion. They are hard to break. I was stirring it with a metal stirrer, and I shouldn't have done that. But anyways, so any of these are perfectly, you know, they've been around for 150 years. They work great. But after you've drunk that, where do you go? You go through Dunkin' Donuts. So, if I wanted more than that cup, I graduated to tea kettles. These are also relatively inexpensive. I think this one's like $11. This one is closer to $20 because I think of the size. price variations depend on, you know, whimsy, because I think it's like 2 factories in the world make them. They just put different labels on them. So they all work the same. They heat water. People who count grams may have a different philosophy. But after the Esbit stove, now you go to something for just day tripping. You go to something else. This is an alcohol stove. These have also been around for 100 years. This is not new technology, folks. They come in different sizes. You'll find lots and lots of videos on YouTube of people making them out of cat food cans and tuna tins and Coke cans. Those are stunts, basically. It's unnecessary. I think it's just to see how small of the thing you can make. These are, I think, $12, $15. I like this, the Alex one. There's 2 or 3. The Transient. I'll put it in in the curl. They make the one with all the parts. This is the bottom part, which is the stove. The fuel goes in here, and when you light it, the middle will light, but eventually it's the fumes that burn. So eventually the fumes will come out through these little holes. You also get this on some of them, not all of them. Look for this. This is a simmer ring, and it allows you to, I mean, because you basically have a little handle. You reach in, you do this, and then you can turn off the fire. Actually, you have to do that first. You can turn off the fire. You can make it, bring it down to just a simmer, whatever you need. But this is a finger saver. It will douse it and very quickly. You can blow on it if you can get to it. Depends on what you've got for a windscreen, what you've got around it for a pot stand. It also comes with this. It has a gasket in it. This will keep it from leaking if there's any extra alcohol in there. It has a little gasket, so that's actually pretty tight. And you have this, and you have this, and it's very small, and it will fit in almost any cup. I think these are from Walmart. This is from Walmart. These are, I don't know, $2, whatever, like that. Less than 5. Let's put it that way. I think the variations on these depend on how they're welded or how they're riveted together, the quality of the stainless steel. You can find sometimes you can find them in secondhand stores. I don't see that many, but they're so cheap. You can go through bunches of these if you like them. But like I said, there you go. You might need a windscreen or a pot stand. I had one around, but you can make it with anything. However, oh, this is the one it comes with. There's a pot stand. It's not a great windscreen. Because if you've got the wind comes through, it makes the flame wobble. So basically, there's your pot stand. It doesn't work well for this. It has to be something bigger. There you go. So basically, you carry that in your car. You almost never have to go through Dunkin' Donuts. Depends on what you like, but you can heat water, make instant everything. And like I said, from here, and this together is like less than $30, and that's going to save you what? You're going to make that back in 6 passes through McDonald's, or even less, fewer if you're, you know. So, like I said, there's a standard car kit, and of course I had to push it to the limit to see what I could do. You just find a container for that. Sometimes people put them in a bag. I do like a solid container, because in my car things are always shifting. So put together what you like, find a box that fits, change the box, just keep upgrading. What I went to after that, because I do not like the hot spots on the stainless and the aluminum, I went to enamel. I really like enamel for the cleanup, and as long as you don't burn something on it, like scorch the food, they are easy cleanup if you don't have lots of water. At least you'll clean it up to the point where it's not going to attract pests. These are obviously reproductions. They come with a lid. Most vintage ones do not. It's very, very infrequent that you see a lid on a cup. Usually you'll see it on tea kettle or a billy. So like this one is vintage. It doesn't have a lid. This one is not. I think I have another one in the case that fits inside this one. The problem, people don't like them because the handles don't move. But if you're not putting it in a backpack, the handle doesn't matter. So the lids are very good. If you don't, find a lid it on anything. It saves the fuel. It keeps bugs and things from diving into your water, tea water or whatever is steeping. Lid is, even if you have to make a lid, lids are very important if you're outdoor cooking. Let's put it that way. So, like I said, things I made grew and grew and grew. And then I went to, I'm sorry, the alcohol stove will burn almost any liquid fuel. If you research it online, there's many studies between the geeks who do those things. Is what is the best thing to burn? Some things burn faster. I wanted something that burns clean. I don't want lots of carbon on everything. I don't care if it takes an extra 30 seconds to make my tea water. I don't want to clean up the mess because then that 30 seconds are gone for me. So, and I'm traveling in a car, so I can bring as much fuel as I want. So, alcohol stoves, they've been around for 100 years. Sterno started as a company called Sterno, S-T-E-R-N-E-A-U. Oh, put it in the crawl. They made their bones doing chafing dishes and alcohol stoves for in hotels and in the house, and samovars. I'll just show you how this works. This is going to be a long video. I apologize. But Sterno started with the German spelling, and then they... I'm sorry. Then eventually they adopted the Sterno, S-T-E-R-N-O, for their gel fuel, their canned heat for their chafing dishes and devices. So they started in the 1860s, 1870s, and evolved. So where did I go with that? But that's, like I said, that is the history of it. And then they went to alcohol-fueled stoves because it burned clean, burns completely, didn't give off noxious fumes. So you don't have that kerosene oil thingy, and it was really popular for cooking in buildings, in in rooming houses, in hotels, where the noxious fumes were you know, it was just convenient. So it eventually migrates to the sides, and use your simmer ring, whatever you want to call it, simmer ring. You just get a little bit of it, and it doesn't end up all black, which is the thing that you do have to be careful, you know. And yes, you can use it in the house. I mean, otherwise chafing dishes wouldn't exist. There we go. And like I said, it has a little bit of fuel left in there, so we're going to put the lid on it. And because it's warm, that was probably not a good idea. Let it cool off. It takes no time at all to cool off. You mean, while you're having your tea, let it cool off before you put this back on. Yeah, see, it's touchable now, so that's fine. Anyways, but what I like to use for fuel is, you can use alcohol. That doesn't screw up. Alcohol, you can use lots of things. I use heat, and I've forgotten what it is. I'll put it in the crawl. Duh. It has a lot of alcohol in it, but I know it's not 100%. Anyways, it burns it's very inexpensive. You get it in the car automotive section, but it doesn't make all that blackness. It doesn't have a lot of other things that will carbonize in the when it's burning. So that's what I started with, was just carrying that and a cup with tea bags and stuff. But I put everything in a box, and I ended up with this train case, because what I did was I had a bunch of train cases. I found, I mean, obviously this Samsonite is indestructible. I think I also had an American Tourister. This is the American Tourister, but it fits right behind the seat in my car, and I can throw it in, not worry about it. Back, I didn't go anywhere. Anyway, so this is what I have for a setup right now. This lives in the car. I may take it in after I used it and then replenish it, put it back. But everything in here is shelf stable, at least for, you know, months and months. I don't tend to put fresh foods in it because I might forget. So you can get train cases anywhere from $12, $10, all the way up to, you know, ridiculous amounts. Depends on who's selling it, what they're selling it for, what condition it is in. If you get the ones with a wrecked inside, you can get them for free. So you want one that you know, you can adapt. You can drill into it, do stuff to it. I added this grit at the top. I just kind of pushed it in there. It's not even attached. But this grit gives me some spaces to put things. So that was helpful. It does have the inside pockets, which I tend not to use because I forget things are in there. But if it didn't have the gridded, I would probably have attached something up here to use it like a regular picnic hamper. But this is just for me. I do have extra in here in case I have a guest, or like I said, reuse it all the time. So first thing I'm going to take out is just a canister. These Goodwill, $2. You see them in the dollar store. You see them around the holidays for gift items. In this, I keep anything I want to keep the moisture out. I've got tea bags. I've got instant coffee. I've got some hot cocoa. Like I said, there's a lot more in here that I need. That doesn't need to be this. I started with just Ziploc bags, you know, just putting things in Ziploc bags, shoving everything in here. But when you take it out on a picnic table, sometimes it gets a little unkempt. This doesn't usually live in here. This is my fuel, my heat fuel, and this little dispenser is watertight, and it's it's fuel tight, and it's helpful to dispense exactly the amount that you want. I think this whole thing is an ounce or less. This is a half an ounce, quarter of an ounce. And if you know your stove, you know how long it takes. It takes me 3.5 minutes to make boil water, so I don't really need a whole thing. But like I said, this doesn't normally live in here, but just happens to fit right now. When I put it in the car, sometimes I'll keep the heat in the back with gallons of water. So that is perfectly safe to keep in here. It's stable. It's not gonna, you know, as long as it doesn't leak, it's fine. But make sure you keep the fuel in a container designed for fuel, because sometimes, depends on the fuel, the gaskets, the way the tops make, they're not compatible. Just for ambiance, I have this little lantern because it has metal protecting the glass. You can put, I mean, battery operated ones are perfectly fine. You just have to remember that they are battery operated ones. They are in there. But like I said, when I'm setting up on a table, I think sometimes I put a citronella candle in there. But it's just nicer to have than, you know, big lanterns. I just have it because it fits. If I get squozed out by something else, it's going away. Okay, here's my other cup. Oh, no, I have several cups. This is my guest cup, and I have my sugar packets in here. Sugar in paper doesn't clump up because the paper absorbs the moisture, but you do have to. I mean, this probably all should be in a plastic bag, and I'll probably put that in a plastic bag and then put that bag in here. And if I had little creamers, I'd put those in here too. But those, I'm not sure what the shelf life is on those. And in here, this is probably the most expensive thing I've ever bought for this particular task. I wanted something bigger than the tea kettle that had a wider lid so that I could boil things, make ramen, boiled eggs, whatever. So I found this vintage one, and it had a really big aperture, and it has the bail handle, which means I can fit it in here. It has a really nice profile. So unlike other ones that take up more space, this one was pretty compact for the size. This is the reproduction one. Like I said, it comes with a lid. That lid fits on all my guest cups. So lid is probably the most important thing here, because lidded cups will heat faster. So like I said, it takes me about 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Oh, this is some jam for when I make toast. This one's not opened. If it's opened, it probably can be in this for the season, but I get paranoid. So sometimes I just have an empty one and I just fill it and then take it out and refill it and put it in. If I'm going to bring bread, then I'll make sure I put some of this. But you can also get the packets from the diner. You know, lift those packets that, you know, you never know what to do with. Throw them in here, but at the end of the season, throw them away, start over. That's just my opinion. I mean, it's probably not going to kill you, but, you know, they were free. Also in here, I've got some shortbread cookies, packeted desserts. This doesn't expire till October, and October is about the time that I stopped really using this. So, packeted dried things that will go in here nicely. I finally found some plates. I measured this box to make sure I could get plates that were, I believe these are 7 inches in diameter. You can absolutely use plastic. You can absolutely use aluminum, stainless steel, whatever you have. Just assemble what you think you need, find a box that fits, change things out, change the box. You can either start with a box and find things to fit, which is a little bit more expensive, or you can just find a box that fits. So start with a plastic shoebox. Here I have one of those cheese boards. Fits in here absolutely perfectly. I was very happy. I wish it was thinner, but then it was thinner, it might warp, but I don't have to wash it really. I just wipe it down. It's just really for cutting bread and cheese and apples. I'll bring fresh fruit like that in a separate container. For cleanup, I have some wet wipes. It's just enough to wipe everything down until I get home. It'll be fine if it's overnight. Nothing's gonna kill me. And here's the star of the show. Probably should show you what's on the top, but this is the star. This is a Tyvek bag. I like the Tyvek. It contains the mess. This is a modern folding stove. These are $10 exactly. There are tons and tons of folding stoves on the internet, on Amazon, on everything. There are tons. This design is, from what I can gather, from 1917-ish, pre-war, pre-World War I. If you look at the other video, I will link below. This is the same design, more or less, as the Sterno 4041. You find these, I don't actually see these in thrift stores. I might see them at yard sales and flea markets. But like I said, they're about $10, and that's because they're not a permanent item. They will rust out. Well, I've only had this a few years. I might have to just spray paint it again. The paint wears off from the burning from the fire. But it's designed to hold Sterno cans. It is designed to hold Sterno's gel chafing fuel, which is also 100 years old. They designed this specifically to hold it. It has, this is the windscreen around the bottom. It has a nice big little spot on the bottom, holds the can. Sterno's gel, not sure if anybody else makes this kind of thing, but these chafing fuels are completely safe. You turn them off, you can reuse them. But this holds one of these. I mean, obviously it's a little bulky to take if you're doing anything but day camping, day tripping. There it is. It is pink. Don't eat the pink. These are, I think I got these as leftovers from a banquet. It is ridiculously popular for the bain-maries and chafing dishes to heat food because it just burns itself out. And if you don't use old fuel, you can blow it out and close it and use it again another time. But it sits in here. Here's your windscreen. I wanted this as opposed to other things. I think this is the pot stand I made for. This is the pot stand I made for the alcohol stove. Yes, it is. Doesn't have a windscreen, but I had something else. But this was my pot stand. But I wanted a big, stable platform that I could put something like that, and then I could manipulate it, and I didn't have to worry about it, toppling over, which is my biggest fear. One of my biggest fears. So, like I said, that's the centerpiece of this whole thing for heating water or whatever. But if you'll see, the alcohol stove, it's in the same ballpark. It fits. That's why I left the foot on it. There's a gate. It fits in here as well. It's stable. It's completely and utterly, you can't get any more safe than this as far as, you'd have to really misuse it to hurt yourself. The wind is more likely to blow it out, but you can blow it out. What I like about this small size here is I can take this lid, put it in there, shut off the fire. And then while I'm having my tea, it's cooling off. I put the whole thing away because, like I said, this gets all carbonized. I keep it in this. It folds up and goes in here. But like I said, I've got all of these choices for what to cook in there. I think if I wanted to, I could probably get the Esbit stove with the with the fuel cube in there. But that's my stove for making. Okay. The other thing at the bottom of there's a lot in this kit, you know, is this. There are lots of toasters on the internet, and they all follow that same trapezoidal pyramid shape, and that is a 100-year-old design. I mean, it works okay. I've never liked it personally, but this is, if you see the other video where I actually used it, this has gotten, I mean, I found some really good reviews for this on boating cooks. You do have to do one piece at a time. You do have to pay attention, but it works great to give you the charring on the outside of the bread without burning all the way through. You flip the bread. I mean, it's really, really quick. And if you're one or two people, this is perfectly adequate. And this, I believe, was definitely, I mean, it's stainless. I think if you use it a lot, you have to replace the screen eventually. But I've used it and it's fine. It's easy to clean up. It folds completely flat. Doesn't weigh too much. But I saw that and it was like, because of the restrictive size of this container, of this kit, I had to decide what did I want it to be able to do. Essentially, it is limited by the tools and the equipment and the mess. My theory was, I don't want to be cleaning up lots of mess with this. So, using this, I can make ramen, I can boil eggs, I can rehydrate bunches of things, either in these or in a larger one if I chose to. I can make toast, and I can put things on the toast. The only thing that's not in here, which I am working on, is a sort of a frying pan. I haven't found one that I am in love with yet. So, like I said, this all lives in here. And let's go to the end. At the top of this, on my gridit, I have I put in a steak knife recently for cutting bread. It has a nice serration, which is great for cutting bread if I stop and buy some bread or that's in a roll. A knife with a big tang like this, oh that's the tang, yeah, is generally for fruit. It doesn't have, I mean, I've sharpened it pretty well. This will tackle any apple, pear, or whatever I want to cut with it. Maybe cheese, it'll get a little sticky, but easy to clean. I got this off of eBay for about $4 from Korea, but that's, I really saw it and fell in love because I knew it was a fruit knife, and that's what I wanted. But it's stainless, so it can get messy. It's not going to go bad on me. Now, I also have some silverware in here. I just happened to throw in this. These are obviously silver plated with no more silver plating. So they're decorative. They were kicking around in my kitchen, in my sink, and I thought that they were perfect for what I'm going to do, which is generally, I mean, if I've got a guest, I will, you know, we'll have some plastic extra silverware somewhere. But this gives me a great butter cheese spreading knife. Get in there. Well, let's take this out first. Now I found these little butane lighters, and I was very surprised. Inexpensive butane lighters will dry up if you leave them in storage, and this one still seems to be fine, but it actually stays in here and has a longer handle, so it's easier to light inside of my stove, which I like. I have my salt and pepper. These are, is that my pepper? These shakers are for glitter. I actually had to buy glitter and throw it away, but these are for glitter, and they're perfectly sized for me for in here. But you can actually buy little tiny salt and peppers, or you can nick the little salt and peppers from the store, from a restaurant, whatever floats your boat. But those are in here as well. I do tend to like milk with my tea, and like actual milk with my tea. Well, some teas, depends. What I'll do if I'm on a road trip is I will put milk into a flask, because I don't really need more than this, probably about half of it, and then I'll put this in the cooler. These are not insulated, but they will leak proof. Now, if you were going to keep milk, I also have this. This is a double walled. It is insulated, but it really needs to start off cold to stay cold. I mean, the way we homogenize we process our milk, your milk's not going to go bad or hurt you or anyway for a couple of days. But if you want to keep it cold, generally I could put some ice cubes in here, or I could put the milk in here, put this in the refrigerator, put this in the freezer, and then when it's frozen, put the lid on it, and that'll stay cold for the rest of the day. Depends on how much the fat content is and how well it will thaw out. But for tea drinking purposes, it's perfectly fine. But like I said, these I'll put in the cooler. To clean, if you're putting milk solids in here, to clean these out, you put in some coarse salt and some alcohol, shake the hell out of it, rinse it, you know, and it should be fine, good to go. I believe I have another video on that, cleaning glass bottles. You can also put the things in the flasks that the flasks are intended to carry. That's also an option. You might not want to confuse the two. But like I said, for making tea, I'll usually have a gallon of water in the back of the car, but I'll also carry at least one of these so I can stop someplace and maybe get water from, you know, from a bubbler, and that will give me water for my cooking purposes. But just have something that you can carry water in if you have to stop and collect it. Okay, I'm going to move into a different area. Expanding on this basic tea and toast kit. Like I said, this is general tea and toast is stuff that is stable. As long as I have some fresh bread, or even stale bread, this kit works fine. If I want to do, you know, add something, instant something to it, it also works fine. But your brain goes to, hey, what if I want to fry an egg? What if I want to cook something on oil instead of heating the water? So staying with this same stove setup, I haven't found a frying pan that fits in here that I like. So basically, if I bring a frying pan with me, it's outside of this container, but I have done it on occasion. For eggs, you do want to get something solid, because even if I put this in the cooler or somewhere else, the eggs will break. But I have one somewhere where I thought was 2 eggs in it. But anything like this, it's usually these you find used all the time. But that's the good thing to bring. Now, as far as car camping, picnicking, a frying pan goes, you have a multitude of choices. You have classic 6-inch. This is called a number 3 cast iron. This one is a vintage one. Lodge still makes one. They also make a cover. You might have to get it from their website, but they make a cover. The problem with the Lodge is not only is it greasy in between, I mean, it's not usually that greasy, especially if you wipe it out and let it dry, because you've seasoned it, but it will get carbon on the bottom, a little bit of grease on it. It is the weight. So really, only if you're car camping or tailgating do you want to carry a cast iron with you. But this, it doesn't seem like it, but this is plenty for 2 people. I've done everything in this. Obviously, I've used it a lot. I've got several of these. But you might want to keep it in a Tyvek. That will keep down the mess. You want to keep it in something that is going to protect it and protect everything around it. You might not want to leave it in your car, but you could. You put it in your kit, and it works. It'll work great. But you also, like in any other one, you want to bring your utensils for it, maybe in a small tool roll-up. I would keep all of this stuff for frying away from this kit. I would make another kit for it. I do have another suitcase which has got more cooking related, but like I said, right now we're just talking about stuff you can bring along to expand on this setup. Now this is the inexpensive stainless, made in Asia. They usually come in a set. You can see these used in places. Sometimes we'll see them. People have overheated them because this is an inexpensive one. If you overheat them, they don't work as well. They will stick. They will burn. But, you know, it's something to try. Get it, try it, see what you like, and then upgrade. What I like about it, right, this one is the size and the handles. I have yet to use it, but I'm using this as a gauge because this will fit in that kit if I want it to. I just want to get this in a higher grade. I don't want to put this in that kit. Also, one of the things that I do keep around, specifically for car camping, is there's my oil, is this is steel. This is 100 and something years old, made in the U.S. You know, obviously this is for cowboy camping. This one's a little maligned, but just treat it as if it was cast iron. There we go. It fits perfect. You can fry an egg in it. You can do, if you cut bacon in half, which I generally do, you can reheat lots of stuff in it. But this is what I actually do use for car camping, and that's why I keep it in the Tyvek. It's got the oil with it. I wipe it out, put it back in together, put it in here, and I will take that in my, because it's safe, I take that in my picnic basket. I don't, one day I may upgrade from this train case and find a home for it, but this is what I'm using right now. Because it is not nonstick, it takes a little bit more effort, and you do have grease to worry about. However, also, this is a nonstick. I think this came from grocery store. I think it was $8 at the grocery store. Now, obviously it's big. It's not going to fit in my train case. It might fit in yours. It's definitely going to fit in a suitcase of some sort. So this is an option. It is. You can get an even smaller one than this. I found the smaller one is perfectly adequate. I had one. I don't know where it is. But this is obviously pretty big. You can fry. You can do anything you want. You do have to, with a nonstick, obviously, you do have to bring along tools that have that will not affect the nonstick, because otherwise you're defeating the whole purpose. But since this is a cheapo one, I've never found nonstick to last more than 2 years. 3 if I'm careful. So I like to throw them away and get new ones when they start scratching. But like I said, these were cheapo. I think these were at the dollar store or a grocery store. But you need stuff that's going to help you manipulate without scratching the surface. You could use those on the other ones as well, but I've found that plastic will melt because the cast iron, because it retains its heat so long, that you do have to let this cool off before you put it in the bag, before you put it in the car. It doesn't take long, it's just longer than everything else. But it's much more fuel efficient, the cast iron, because it will retain its heat. This is great for fast saute, fast eggs, fast reheating. Also, this is, I think this is GSI. This is another GSI. This is a GSI makes lovely camping items. But this is the big one. I don't think they have a smaller one, which is a sad state. But this actually is the one that lives in my suitcase for cooking. It's a little big, but I can make crepes. I can reheat tortillas, scrambled eggs, whatever I want. This lives in my cooking. So you can bring any of those. You can actually, but once you start getting into more cooking, you do need to bring cleanup items. I'll cover my cooking kit in another video. I'm just talking about what you can bring along with this kit and this stove. So these, like I said, you put it in a protective case, put it in a, whatever you've got, and you can put that in your picnic basket. Generally, wiping these down doesn't involve lots of washing, except for this thing. So you can just wipe them out, and you're good to put it away, which is a big deal because you don't have to carry dishpans. Now, things that you can cook in these out for examples. Things that you can cook in these pans on this for your day trip, for your picnic, if you want to actually cook something. This is just a picnic basket that I got for $2. I had to change the hinges out. They're very common. People buy picnic baskets as gifts, and then nobody uses them, they throw them away. So basically, it's just something I have. When it gets destroyed, I'll get another one. But let me just go over some of the suggested items that you can throw in a bag or a basket or whatever, because you know that this is in the car. Right now, I mean, I keep tins. You can actually get plastic containers, but I do like tins. Keeps the mess down. They fit in here nicely. Obviously, these are Christmas things, but they're reusable. As long as you keep the moisture away from them, they won't rust. So if you're going to clean them, wipe them out. Line them with wax paper when you're using them. That keeps the moisture from down. This is my toast to take with me on the toasting thing. So, like I said, you can line them with that. If you're going to make desserts or something to take with you, wrap each one of them in wax paper and then assemble them inside here, and that will protect baked goods from getting squished. I just grabbed some stuff from the cabinet. It doesn't mean I actually eat it. Oil. Oh, where's my oil? That's another thing. I generally use like a vegetable oil or canola oil or whatever, so it's easier to clean. Another thing you can think about is ghee, which is clarified butter, which is shelf stable, because it's just this will keep for, you can put this in there. This will keep for a very, very long time. This is the Trader Joe's one, which I like the container. You can get a larger container and put it in smaller containers, whatever you like, but the ghee is shelf stable, so you don't have to worry about the butter melting. This won't even melt in the weather that we've got that badly. The little butter packets are great to nick from the restaurants, but you're going to keep those in the cooler and bring them back in the house. You can't keep them in their kits, because they will go rancid and they will melt and get all over everything. But things I like to bring to have with my toast: sardines, kippers, we got anchovies, canned meats. These are also, like I said, shelf stable, keep for centuries. Put those in. You can put those in your basket and leave them in the basket. You can put them in your containers. You can heat those and have them with your eggs and toast. You know, and there you go. You've got your meat, you got your egg, you got bread, and you didn't have to go to the grocery store. Also, you can get small cans of beans, corned beef hash. Shockingly, I like this. There are potted meats, or you can make your own potted meats, which I've done. My potted shrimp is to die for. Those are also things that will keep, especially if you put them in glass. Potted meats, I'll make some for the video. But anyways, these are higher in salt, so you don't want to put a whole lot. It's kind of like you want to layer this on the bread and then put something else. Other things that are higher in salt, you've got your Nor things, which you can cook in the pan. These are popular with the hikers. I do find them to be a little higher in salt, so you might want to consider making your own, using parboiled rices or whatever, but that's also something you can put in the pan. These packeted muffin mixes, you can make pancakes out of them. You can make them in here. Nobody will know. It'll be fine. But usually they add water or milk. So the obligatory ramen, assorted ramens in the world, tons and tons. You can also spend extra money and buy camping food. Camping food is perfectly fine. This is a serving. You heat some water. You don't even have to dirty that pan. You can actually use that with the billies that are the tea kettle that is in here. But that is also something to bring. One of my favorite things to bring in the car. Generally, I used to have the packets from the other brand. Are dried potatoes. These are dried hash browns. They are dried potatoes. They have naughty things like salt and dextrose and preservatives, but you can put you can rehydrate this with cold water. They just take longer, but you rehydrate them. Cold water, hot water, doesn't matter. Put it in the frying pan. Throw chopped things on top. Throw canned things on top, and you've got a seriously filling meal. But they're shelf stable. They will keep forever, and I like them so much better than mashed potatoes. Dried mashed potatoes, obviously, they will rehydrate, but they don't mix as nicely with chopped things. So these actually, work great in this particular scenario. If I was going to go on a road trip today, I'd probably take what's left of these, and I'd take a couple of eggs and a couple of slices of bread, and I'm done. That, and I got my tea, my toast, I got some milk, I'm good. But those are shelf-stable things that you can put in a picnic basket, and then just, you don't have to worry about when you're going to go somewhere. You can just put one of these in the basket. So if I'm going to go on a road trip, I just grab this, I grab that, I put in fresh cheese, fresh apples. Maybe I'll stop in a store and get a baguette and some fresh things. But those are add-ons that work well with this particular kit. So I think I got to the end of this. I will fry up something and put that at the tag. Thank you for joining me, The Foolish Kitchen. Bye.